Nervously, Blair tapped his fingers on the steering wheel. "When will this snow stop?" he said, glancing anxiously at his watch. "Such terrible weather. It was better to stay indoors. We're stuck in this traffic jam." "Why are you so upset?" Patricia retorted, admiring her reflection in the mirror. She dabbed bright red lipstick on her lips. "There's nothing we can do. This snowstorm has the entire city in a traffic jam, so I don't see why you're bothered." "Don't you understand that I'm late for a meeting? Do you think the boss will be happy about that? I wouldn't want him to regret making me his deputy. It's not pleasant to end my career at the beginning." "Pfft!" Patricia snorted dismissively. "He's probably stuck in traffic too. What are you so worried about? You said he's a reasonable man. I'm sure he'll understand." "You're probably right. Otherwise he would have called and scolded me by now." Blair peered into the grey snow shroud outside the window. The windshield wipers struggled to keep up, and even the side windows were covered in snow. "If we stay here a few more minutes, we risk becoming a snowdrift. Should we get out and clear the car?" Blair mused aloud. He had already unbuckled his seatbelt when a clear strip appeared on the window, revealing a big-eyed, mischievous boy's smiling face. "I don't understand," the man muttered, looking at the boy wielding a squeegee. "What's he doing? Is he doing us a favour or volunteering? Doesn't he realise it's dangerous?" "What's not to get?" responded Patricia, her plump lips curling into a grin. "He's pretending to work. You're not going to pay him, are you? Nobody asked him to do this. Tell him to leave before he scratches the car. There are too many like him on the road. He'll start asking for money soon." "Why are you so hard on him?" Blair asked, finally understanding why the boy was cleaning the windows. "I think he's good. He's earning money instead of begging his parents for it. All work should be paid." Blair took his wallet out of his expensive coat pocket and pulled out a bill. "We should thank him. Otherwise, I'd have to clear the snow myself." "Blair, are you seriously going to give this beggar money?" Patricia exclaimed, noticing the bill in his hand. "He didn't even ask if we needed help. He's not going to leave us now. He'll start offering us overpriced water. What else do these people usually offer in traffic?" "He's trying to work for a living. What's wrong with that? Would you prefer he started robbing stores? I'm happy to pay for his service." Blair rolled down the window and handed the boy the money. The boy smiled gratefully and nodded in thanks. "Thank you, kid." Blair waved goodbye as the boy moved on to another car. "Be careful." "And you don't feel guilty for spending that kind of money on him?" the woman asked, her nose wrinkling in distaste as she glowered at the boy. "What did he do? Throw snow off the glass? Oh, what a diligent worker. Couple of swipes of the scraper and you happily pay him. How many people like you will he con today? Do you think he'll use the money wisely? He'll probably waste it with other troublemakers, or worse. Maybe he's earning for booze or cigarettes. You know nothing about him. This is how we encourage these freeloaders. Then they become a burden to us." "Like you, probably," Blair muttered under his breath, starting the car. They moved forward a bit before stopping again. "What are you hinting? Are you criticising me?" The woman took offence. "I didn't expect this from you." "Not at all," Blair responded cheerfully. "Just remembered you stopped working as soon as we got married. Notice that I haven't brought it up till now." "What's your problem with me?" "Yes, I believe a man should provide for his family, while a wife takes care of the house and pleases her husband. Isn't that a woman's role?" "Oh, yes, you're excellent at that." "Are you insinuating that I'm not doing enough? Are you saying I'm a bad wife?" "Why are you twisting my words? I'm not accusing you of anything. You started this." "You're upset with me over some guy. A bratty teenager matters more to you than your own wife." Patricia sulked, her lips pouting as she defiantly turned to her phone. "No, you're critical to me," he said, and then added to himself, "and expensive as well." He grimaced, recalling a recent conversation he'd had with his friend at a bar, discussing their wives. "I'm going to be a dad soon," Tima had announced. "My wife is pregnant. I still can't believe it. We've been waiting for a son for so long." "I'm happy for you," Blair had smiled. I wish I could say the same, someday. Don't worry, buddy. You'll have kids soon. You're not that old. You both have everything you need to be parents. You're a wonderful couple. I don't think so. Patricia doesn't like children, and she doesn't hide it. No way, Timur had exclaimed in surprise. Every woman dreams of becoming a mother. You must be exaggerating. Yeah, that's what I thought at first too. Initially, she was like a house cat, all sweet, affectionate, easygoing and caring. But when I put an engagement ring on her finger, my sweetheart transformed into a wild hyena. Oh, come on, she's so feminine, so well-groomed. You're right about that. Her appearance is all she cares about. It's probably the only thing that truly matters to her. You always manage to make her look dazzling and flawless. I honestly even envy you. My wife relaxes at home. That's true. With Patricia, any event becomes more glamorous. My boss adores her and always invites us to their gatherings. She outshines everyone else. I sometimes suspect that we're invited to parties solely because of her. So what's your problem? You should be proud to have such a beauty by your side. I don't know, Blair replied sadly. Sometimes I find myself longing for simplicity. I yearn to see her without makeup, in a simple housecoat, taking care of our son. Is she good in the bedroom? I'm not complaining, but what's wrong with that? Patricia is trying to please you, while my wife doesn't care about me, and now that she's pregnant, she often refuses intimacy. Your Patricia could teach other wives a thing or two. What more do you want? I would be thrilled if mine would learn the art of seducing her husband. I'm not interested in mere intimacy, Blair muttered in despair. You don't understand. I want something more. I'm at an age where I crave a real family, comfort, family dinners with my wife and children, warm and ordinary relationships. I want to come home knowing that people are waiting for me, people who care about my feelings, not just the amount of money I earned that month. But Patricia, she loves no one but herself. Unfortunately, I realized this after our wedding. I had hoped she would change with time, but it only got worse. She's obsessed with her looks. Have you talked to her? Maybe she's too afraid to tell you that she also has a different view of family relationships and dreams of becoming a mother. Yes, I've talked to her countless times about having children, but she doesn't want to hear it. She wants me to be all about her and admire her. She can't bear the thought of sharing my attention and love with a third person in the house. No, children and Patricia, these concepts are incompatible. Blair's mind flashed back to a recent argument over the idea of having a child. When he cautiously brought up the idea of having an heir, Patricia had said, "Why did you bring this up again?" The young wife made a disgruntled grimace. Children hold people back. If I had a baby, I'd immediately become less interesting. Stop bothering me with this topic. I'm not ready to be a mother. But other women don't think like that. They dream of having a child. Her husband tried to persuade her. That's the purpose of life. I'm sorry, but that's not the purpose of my life. A child will tie both of us down. Look, now we can easily go to a restaurant whenever we want. We can take a vacation anywhere during your time off. And we don't have to worry about finding a nanny or the child's health or anything. Remember the Lewis? We used to have so much fun with them. And now all you hear is, "Oh, we have to feed our daughter. Oh, we can't go to the club because we have no one to leave our daughter with. And Megan has gained 10 kilos. Do you want us to end up the same? No way. You and I are free, and it's wonderful. I don't want to hear about anything else." Why do we need such freedom? Children are a joy. They're an extension of us. Can you imagine how amazing it'll be when someone calls out, "Mummy"? I dream of that moment. Patricia was upset by her husband's words and responded reproachfully. Don't remind me about children. You don't understand me. I don't want to change anything in my life. I like the way we live. Then tears welled up in her eyes. Look what you've done to me. She ran to the mirror, noticing a new wrinkle. I'll have to see the beautician again. This is all because I thought about having children. What if we did become parents? I can't bear the thought of constantly dealing with whimpering, messy, snotty babies, sleepless nights, dark circles under my eyes, dull hair. It sounds horrifying. I'll become old prematurely, and then you'll leave me. But I want to spend my whole life with you. Don't ever bring this topic up again, unless you want an argument. She's not ready to be a mother, Timur suggested after listening to his friend. And when she is, she'll say it's too late to have children, Blair added, sighing heavily at Patricia's indignant voice. Blair, aren't you listening to me? What are you thinking about? I can't stand children, especially ones like this little beggar. Patricia's voice turned the man to the reality. Are you upset about the kid, or being late for your manicure? I'm annoyed by both, and your stupid jokes aren't helping. Is my mascara running? No. Your negative energy is heating up everything here. I'm going to step out for some fresh air. He opened the door, got out and stood next to the car, ready to jump back in should the traffic start moving. Suddenly his eyes fell on a group of 11 to 13-year-olds, among whom he recognized a recent acquaintance. Wow, there's a crowd of them here, he thought. The boys were animatedly discussing something among themselves, while the young worker clearly felt uneasy. Blair had no intention of eavesdropping, but he couldn't help overhearing their fragmented, loudly spoken phrases. What are you doing here? Guys, he's trying to make money. The teenagers taunted the boy. You're poor. Go home. Your mum's probably worried sick. Don't you care about upsetting her? What are you looking at? We're telling you to get out of here before we kick you. What? Doesn't your mum earn enough? Because she's not good enough. She's a pauper and so are you. Look at his clothes, guys. Where did he even find them? By the way, you should beg your father for money. Maybe he'll take pity on his beggar son. The teens laughed, encircling the boy. Where's his father from? His mother's never been married. I don't even think she doesn't know who your father is. Why aren't you saying anything? We're talking to you. Blair frowned. What brats! Is it the boy's fault that he doesn't have a father? I grew up without a father too, and look at me. I'm only 33 and I'm already the deputy of the director of a prestigious construction firm. Could my abusers imagine I'd surpass most of them? With growing concern, Blair noticed that the situation was escalating. The group began to shove the boy around. Where's the money? They yelled, passing him from one to another like a ball. Empty your pockets. Better hand it over now, before we decide to punch you. Don't say we didn't warn you. Where did you hide it? Why are you being greedy? Come on, we're friends, aren't we? Friends share. Empty your pockets. Guys, leave me alone. The boy tried to resist, but his other boys were growing more aggressive. I don't have any money. Empty your pockets. One of them, apparently the instigator of the scuffle, demanded. We saw you get money. Then he deftly pulled the boy's backpack off. Let's see what he's got in here, he said, unzipping the bag and dumping its contents onto the sidewalk. Oh, textbooks. The others held the victim, laughing. He tried to free himself, but lacked the strength. Hold him tight. Where did you hide the money? The instigator kicked the textbooks and notebooks. Speak, before you get a slap. Blair couldn't stand by any longer. Hey, guys, what's going on? Shouldn't you be ashamed? 4 of you against 1. Break it up. Leave him alone, or I'll step in. Startled by Blair's shouts, the instigator pushed the victim onto Blair's car. The others scattered. The boy hit the hood. The scraper he'd been using on the windows slipped, leaving a scratch on the car. The boy fell onto the road right in front of the car. Blair ran to the boy, who looked at him in horror. I didn't mean to. He got up. It was an accident, sir. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. The boy looked from Blair to the scratch and back again. The man swiftly gathered his scattered textbooks into his backpack and silently handed them to the boy. And the boy hastily grabbed it and darted off. Stop! Blair yelled after him. Don't be scared. I won't hurt you. I just want to help. But the boy only sprinted faster. Spotting something colourful on the snow-dusted pavement, Blair bent down to pick it up. What a strange kid, he chuckled, holding a school diary. Let's see, who does it belong to? Ah, a 6th grade student, Charlie Turner. Well, Charlie Turner, nice to meet you. It seems I'll have to find you to return this. From the car, Patricia called out, Are we going to move soon? The traffic's starting. She was right, cars behind them had started honking. Blair hopped into the car, and they drove off. What's that you have there? Patricia asked, eyeing the diary on the back seat. It belongs to the kid. I need to return it, Blair replied. Why bother with that little troublemaker? Toss that thing out. He'll just get a new one. Patricia scrunched up her nose in disgust. Pull over at the next trash can and throw it away. It's his thing, and I think it is necessary for the boy, Blair responded without taking his eyes off the road. My God, I'm tired of your sentimentality. Look at the hood. Assess the damage. Your harmless boy wrecked our car. If you'd have sent him away immediately, the car wouldn't have been damaged. Do you realize now what your association with this little criminal has led to? The young woman was outraged. What he did to our car is a nightmare, and you protected him, gave him money. We must track him down and force his parents to cover the cost of painting the hood, Patricia exclaimed. Did you notice how repulsive he is, and his clothes? He belongs in jail. It's not for nothing his friends attacked him. Patricia, please calm down. Why are you so angry? What are you thinking about the car and the hood for? We nearly witnessed a tragedy. The boy was almost beaten and purposefully pushed onto the car. Didn't you see that? We shouldn't be looking for him, but for the people who did this to him. It's lucky traffic was stalled. If a car had been coming, the boy could have been hit. Did you consider that? He could have been disabled or killed. He's a child. And you think I should have just stood by and watched him get beaten up? Good riddance to him. There'll be one less bully, Patricia said, clearly annoyed. Why should I even think about such things? Damage has been done. It needs to be compensated for. You should have detained the boy. It's a pity you didn't. You should report this to the police. They'll find him quickly. Promise me you'll contact them immediately. I insist that you don't let this young bully's actions go unchecked. There's no telling what else he might do. Patricia, Blair responded calmly, the boy isn't guilty. He was pushed. It was an accident. You saw it yourself. I will not call the police. Do you understand that he won't be able to afford the paint job? And you're just going to forgive him for damaging an expensive car. Next time he might burn someone's car down. Let's hope it's not ours. Why are you exaggerating? The man wrinkled his nose in annoyance. He doesn't look like a bully at all. He's the victim here. Oh, so now you're an expert on what a bully looks like, are you? I'm not exaggerating. I can't believe you're defending him. He looks like a troublemaker. Just think about how much it's going to cost to repaint the hood. Patricia, this won't cost you anything. You shouldn't worry about this question at all. I'll figure it out without your advice. Are you heading to your manicure appointment? Then go. By the way, it's costing me quite a bit. More than a car repaint. So that's how it is, the wife retorted, taking offence. I won't say another word. You compare me to some criminal, yet I'm your wife. You care more about a juvenile delinquent than you do about me. With the money you'll spend fixing the car, you could buy me a new ring. Don't you have enough jewellery? Patricia, you never cease to amaze me. She fell silent, pouted her lips, and stared out the window without blinking. She didn't utter a word for the rest of the journey. That's a good thing she's silent, Blair reflected to himself. Now I have no doubts. We need a divorce. We're complete strangers to each other, with different life values. She only cares about her own well-being. All she ever talks about is money, beauty salons and pleasure. I shouldn't have snapped at her, but she really gets under my skin. I used to like everything about her, but now even her smile irritates me. And her attitude towards children. I'm still shaken by her words about the kid. It's better to live alone. Patricia will not give in to me without a fight, Blair thought to himself, anticipating her resistance to the divorce. She'll fight to keep my lucrative purse. No matter, I'll try to negotiate a settlement with her. I need to figure out how much I can afford to offer. I'll agree to her terms just to secure the divorce, but I need to introduce this idea tactfully. Pulling up at a beauty parlour, Blair announced, "This is your stop. See you tonight." The woman got out of the car without even looking at her husband. Glancing in the side mirror, Blair saw her aggrieved expression as she entered the salon, and he hurried off to work. "Is the boss angry?" he asked the secretary as he approached the conference room. "I'm half an hour late. The snowstorm in town is to blame. It's a mess out there. I couldn't have arrived any sooner. I need to find a good excuse." "Don't worry," the secretary reassured him with a smile. "The boss just arrived himself. Everyone's late today due to the weather." "Thank God," Blair sighed with relief. "I thought I was finished. Our boss is very punctual and expects the same from the rest of us." He entered the office, immersing himself in the whirlwind of daily concerns. The day flew by, filled with a meeting, customer and investor interactions, and discussions about future projects. Amidst the flurry of daily affairs, Blair never once thought about the morning incident. Only in the evening, as he got into his car to head home, he noticed the school diary on the seat. "I should return it," he said with a smile. "It could be a good excuse to meet that boy, Charlie Turner. I should get to know him better. Maybe I can help him out, or at least offer some support." He started the car and began to drive. "I remember when I was his age. I always wanted an adult around who could offer support and advice. I wonder if Patricia is still upset. Should I buy her flowers? It could come across as an apology, but I have nothing to apologize for. I'm so tired of her drama. I wonder how she'll greet me today, as a loving wife or an angry one." Upon returning home, Blair found his wife sitting on the living room couch, seemingly engrossed in a fashion magazine. She was flipping pages irritably, making it clear through her body language that she was still upset with him and uninterested in conversation. Nothing new, Blair thought, shrugging off her behaviour. Well, at least she's quiet. I don't have to listen to her constant talk about clothes and makeup. He opened the fridge and noticed the absence of dinner. So, she's decided to punish me by not preparing anything. She seldom cooks, but tonight she didn't even order from a restaurant. Perhaps this is the right moment to confront her and end our relationship. But I can't muster the courage now. Not today. I just want to relax without any issues. I'm too tired to handle any arguments that she might start just to ruin the evening. I've had enough stress for today. Making do with what he found in the fridge, Blair went to his study. The next morning, Patricia was nowhere to be seen. Blair brewed some coffee, prepared himself quickly, and rushed out of the house. He had other plans for the morning and wanted to avoid running into his wife. All right, he decided, getting into his car. I should try and find the owner of the diary, or else he might be worried about losing it. He picked up the phone and called his secretary. "Mary, do we have anything urgent to do in the morning?" "No? Good. I'm going to run some errands. If anyone needs me, let them know. I'll be back in a couple of hours." "Thanks. Bye." Having finished his conversation, he headed to Charlie's school. After parking his car, Blair confidently approached the uniformed man. "Hello, I'm looking for Charlie Turner from the 6th grade. Do you know him? I have something to give him," he asked loudly, trying to speak over the noise of the children. Before the guard could answer, a middle-aged woman in a strict mouse-coloured suit on the other side of the turnstile overheard their conversation. Impatience was evident on her anxious face. "Mr. Turner!" She waved her hands in appeal. "Let the man through. He's here for me." Pulling on her suit, the woman reprimanded, "At last! We've been waiting for you." Blair raised his eyebrows in surprise, confused by her words. "Are you talking to me?" "Who else?" the woman frowned. "You're here for Charlie Turner, aren't you?" "I am, but—" "Let's go," she interrupted him. "Everyone's already gathered." We've been waiting for you. Honestly, we thought you wouldn't show up this time either. How many times have you ignored the director's requests?" Intrigued, Blair followed the woman. She hurried ahead, chastising him along the way. "It's unfortunate that you can't make time for school. It's very irresponsible. Your son is a troubled teenager that is going through a difficult transition period. He's become completely out of control. This isn't the first time we've called you." "Really?" "Charlie is often disruptive, and now it's escalated. His behaviour is forcing us to take extreme measures. You should be aware of this." "What did he do this time?" The woman cast a judgmental glance at him, pressing her lips together. "Reminds me of Patricia," Blair thought in surprise. "She doesn't seem to like children, even though she works with them." "Now you'll see for yourself. What can we expect from a boy when his parents don't know what their child is up to? All problems originate from the family." Blair wanted to confess he had no relation to Charlie and didn't understand what was expected from him. However, he stayed silent, especially because the woman wouldn't let him speak, blaming the boy's behaviour. They stopped in front of a door labelled Headmaster. The woman opened the door and joyfully announced, "Well, we have finally met Charlie's father. Now I'm sure we'll resolve all issues. Come in," she gestured to a chair. Blair surveyed those present and quickly assessed the situation. "I'm not going to dissuade these nice people that Charlie isn't my son. Let's see what kind of accusations they're making against him. It seems like he's having a tough time." Blair studied Charlie, who appeared frightened and pale. Yes, this was the boy he was looking for. Charlie shot a fearful glance at him, immediately recognized his acquaintance from the day before, and recoiled even further. "Well, it's clear with him," Blair thought to himself. "The boy thinks I came because of the car." Then Blair saw the boy who had pushed Charlie onto his car. And this is presumably the victim of Charlie. This boy sat with a frown, displaying a fresh black eye. "Looks like he got what he deserved. Let's see what Charlie is being accused of. Did he really beat him up? I wouldn't have believed it. Charlie doesn't behave like that. It's obvious at first glance. Why is everyone ganging up on him?" Meanwhile, the principal started speaking. "So, Mr. Turner, this is Ben Hamilton." The woman pointed at the bruised boy. "And this is his mother. See what your son has done to the boy. We can't ignore this fight. We have to react." "This is outrageous!" exclaimed the victim's mother. "You're a well-presented man, but you've failed to raise your son properly. Look what your little criminal did to my boy." Mrs. Hamilton, dressed in tight jeans with greasy hair, pulled her son closer and kissed the top of his blonde head. "I won't let this go," she roared, shaking her fist, causing her double chin to wobble. "I'll make sure your son ends up behind bars. Next time, he'll think twice before raising his hand. No one hurts my boy, and if you're here to defend Charlie, don't bother. Just stop coddling him. We've tolerated this for too long." "It looks like Charlie's getting a hard time here," Blair thought to himself. No amount of reasoning can shatter this woman's conviction that her son is the victim. Although, after yesterday's encounter, he likely received a well-deserved jab in the eye. It seems the bully didn't recognize me, so I can play along with Charlie. I suppose no one has met his real father. Is there even a father? Maybe there's no one to defend Charlie. Let's adopt the role of protector. I wonder why his mother didn't come. Did the boy not warn her? He promised a non-existent father would appear, and here I am with his school diary. "Stop yelling," Blair said softly, but with a resolute voice, frowning and calmly staring into the beady eyes of Ben's mother. "Remember, you're not speaking at the market. I came not to take sides, but to determine who is right and who is truly at fault." The woman fell silent out of surprise. "Mr. Turner," the director started, but Blair gave her a piercing look and she faltered. "Well done, son." He turned to the stunned Charlie. "You can defend yourself. You should have put those bullies in their place a long time ago. You did the right thing. I'm on your side." "Well, you know," the principal said indignantly, "I didn't expect such words to you. How can you support Charlie's behaviour? What are you teaching him?" "I believe Ben got what he deserved." You know, I had no doubt that they were identical. Shaking her fist, Ben's mother squealed. He only appears decent. He thinks that if he wears an expensive coat, he can do anything. Don't you think we'll find a way to deal with you? Dear Mrs. Hamilton, Blair spoke calmly, does your son not mention how he and his friends bully the one who can't defend himself? 4 against 1? I doubt you're aware of your child's activities. You're lying. My son is not a bully. If he hit someone, it was only in defence. I have a good, kind boy who wouldn't hurt a fly. Ben's mother turned crimson. You are very mistaken about your son, Blair replied, without changing his tone. I witnessed your son and his friends' misconduct. If Charlie was able to fend off those who bullied him, he did well. It seems your son only understands force, as words do not affect him. I'm sure that Charlie tried to reason with him. Maybe some other kids have fallen victim to his gang as well. Why don't you want to hear Charlie's side of the story? Something tells me you didn't even give him a chance to explain what really happened. Who are you to tell me how to live my life? The woman became angry. And you're slandering my boy? Did you hear that? She looked around at the adults in the room, seeking support. Everyone heard his accusations against my son. My son is the one with the black eye, and your son is looking at everyone like a wolf. Do you expect me to believe he's innocent? I won't stay quiet. I'll find a solution. If the school doesn't back me, I'll go to the police. Your Charlie should be on a register. He's the troublemaker. This time he won't get away with it. I'll see this through. Start with your son. He'll have to answer first, Blair retorted. Do you have proof of what you're accusing my boy of? The woman asked him. I'll sue you for false accusation too. Where's the proof? Just words. You want proof? I have plenty, Blair responded coldly. I have video footage of Ben and 3 of his friends pushing Charlie into the roadway, endangering his life and health. They also scratched an expensive car. Are you ready to pay for the repairs? Be grateful I haven't reported the incident to the police yet. Ben! The woman gasped, her face turning pale. She shifted her angry gaze to her son. Ben lowered his eyes, his shoulders slumped. His bravado and confidence evaporated instantly. He realized the power dynamic had shifted against him. You little scoundrel! His mother screamed, immediately grasping the truth behind the man's words. She spun around and slapped her son. What are you trying to do? Drive me to an early grave? You told me Charlie attacked you first. So you're the instigator, you little beast. She swung at her son again. If I'd known, I wouldn't have defended you. I wouldn't have had to go to school and embarrass myself. Mrs. Hamilton. The principal was taken aback by the mother's behaviour. What are you doing? Stop this immediately. You're in an educational institution, not at your home. At home? I don't know what I would have done to this fool, the mother yelled. Ben looked at her warily, rubbing his reddened chest. And what did you do too with your friends? And I, the fool, believed you, felt sorry for you. Tell me, did you really scratch the car? Ben looked fearfully at his mother and nodded his head. Apologise quickly. We don't have the money to pay for the damages, and we will have a serious talk at home. Ben began to mutter a faint apology. Blair stood up. I think Ben has understood and realised everything, don't you? He looked at the boy, who nodded sullenly. Let's end this here. I hope this situation doesn't repeat. I won't make a complaint this time, but I will if this continues. You all, he addressed the principal and the teacher, should pay more attention to the children's behaviour at school. Have a lovely day. He led Charlie to the corridor. I found this on the sidewalk. The man handed Charlie his school diary with a smile. I thought you might be in trouble if you lost it. I guess my visit was timely. Thanks, Charlie replied, putting the diary in his backpack. Thanks, Charlie replied, putting the diary in his backpack. I haven't had breakfast today. Is there something to eat? Yes, in the cafeteria. You can keep me company. You're late for class anyway, and you can use the excuse of meeting with the principal, Blair said. I agree. the boy replied cheerfully. We have gym class now, and I don't really like gym class. Yeah? Blair raised his eyebrows in surprise. I thought you were an outstanding athlete. You ran away from me yesterday, so much so that I didn't even try to catch up with you. Charlie laughed. In his eyes Blair saw gratitude, relief, and something else that made his eyes suddenly hot. He blinked a few times, trying to chase away the returning tears. Well, he said cheerfully, overcoming a moment's weakness, show me where your dining room is. They took some still warm buns for two, took some tea and sat down at a table. Thank you, of course, Charlie said, but why did you introduce yourself as my dad? The deception will be revealed someday, and it will be embarrassing. Mum will be angry. She doesn't like lies. You'll get in trouble. Let's start with the fact that I can't stand to see anyone wronged undeservedly, Blair replied. To be honest, I didn't intend to pose as your father, but I had to act based on the circumstances. I had no choice, so I staged this act in front of the principal and Ben's mum. I couldn't stand by and watch them deliberately accuse you of something you didn't do. And the second reason is, I was teased as a child for being fatherless. How could I abandon a comrade in misfortune? Charlie listened to Blair, his mouth slightly ajar, his attentive, curious eyes fixed on the man. It can't be, the boy exclaimed. You are so... He couldn't find the words to express his admiration for the man sitting opposite him. Believe me, I wasn't always like this, Blair began. I don't remember my father, but no one stopped me from dreaming of a better life. I made myself into the person you see now. I set goals and I pursued them. It was difficult, but I never gave up. That's why today I have everything I ever dreamed of. A prestigious job, a car, a house, and I achieved it all through perseverance and hard work. I'll never be like you, Charlie sighed sadly. You'll definitely achieve what you want, Blair encouraged, looking into Charlie's eyes and putting a hand on his shoulder. The key is not to blame others when you fail, or to hold grudges against those who wrong you. Overcoming difficulties only makes us stronger. Do you know how many times I was beaten as a child? But I endured, never showing fear to those who hurt me. You should eat, Blair suggested. I can buy you more buns if you like. They're perfect here. No, thank you, Charlie replied, embarrassed. Now, why do you need money? Is there something you want to buy? Are you saving up for a cell phone or a tablet? I wanted to help my mum, Charlie admitted quietly, looking down. It's just the two of us. I see how hard she works and how little she rests. I'm old enough to earn some money. I want to save and give it to her. I'm a man and should help my mum. And where is your father? Why doesn't he help? He left us when I was very young. I haven't heard from him since. I always wished he would show up, perhaps for a school event and be proud of me, but he disappeared, and I don't even remember him. Does your mum know how you make money? Does she let you do that? After all, it's very dangerous to be on the roadway. No, you just don't tell her, Charlie responded, looking at Blair fearfully, or she'll scold me. She won't let me even think about doing anything else but school. I'm a good student, so I have time to do my homework and work while Mum isn't home. And where does your mum work? What does she do? She's a technical translator, but they don't pay much. But it's stable. And she is afraid to quit and find better work because of me. It's good that you're a support for your mum, Blair said approvingly, looking at the boy. Yeah, the boy replied, eating his buns. I'd like to give my mum a big bouquet of flowers for her birthday, and it's been a long time since anyone gave her one. I'm the only man in the house. Mummy has no one else to rely on. Blair looked thoughtfully at the boy, and he was definitely fond of him. I won't make any promises, but I'll see what I can do about a better job. To achieve that, I need to meet your mum. Would it be okay if I stopped by for a visit? Sure, Charlie was glad. Come over. We don't get many visitors. I don't think my mum would mind. Great, then I'll get off at 7 and I'll come over. Make sure to warn your mum. All right, buddy. Blair stood up from the table. I have to go. You should head to class. They said goodbye in the school foyer and Blair went to work. As soon as he had a free moment, he visited the personnel department. "Rita," he began, placing a bar of chocolate on the girl's desk. "Do we have any vacancies for a technical translator? A woman around my age, with a teenage son?" "Well," the girl prolonged, tucking the chocolate bar away, "that's a very specialized role, and we don't have anything suitable. However, we do need a secretary referent. We're looking to fill that position. Would your friend be able to do it?" "Maybe." Blair's mind churned with an idea. "Our company pays well, and it's not easy to get in, but I think I could arrange a job for Charlie's mum. However, I need to meet her first and see her skills. My wish to help someone isn't enough." Around 7 p.m., a black BMW pulled into the courtyard of a high-rise building and parked in an available spot. From a distance, a man spotted Charlie, who was waiting for him on a bench at the entrance. Noticing the familiar car, Charlie stood up and waved. "Hi, Charlie, where's your mum?" Blair asked, exiting the car and walking towards the boy. "Did you tell her I was coming by?" "Yes, I did, but she hasn't returned from work yet. Although, here she comes now." Blair turned and saw a slender woman in a simple coat rushing towards them. Her coat suited her petite figure well, and she wore a knitted hat with a pom-pom. "Is that your mother?" Blair asked in surprise, looking at her. "No way." Charlie's mother, Annie, appeared very young, almost like a girl. The woman seemed slightly nervous as she approached Blair. "Hello," she said, panting. "You're Blair, right? My name is Annie. Please forgive me for making you wait." She blushed. Now, Blair clearly understood why boorish Mrs. Hamilton didn't like this woman. It was her external calmness and inner intelligence that was immediately noticeable. "Thank you so much for standing up after Charlie. I feel bad that you had to pretend to be his father. My son told me everything. We don't keep secrets from each other." "Oh, that's perfectly fine," the man replied. "I was more than happy to help Charlie out of an awkward situation. I genuinely care about his problems." "I don't know how to thank you." The woman hesitated for a second, then suddenly suggested, "Why don't you come and have tea with us, if you're not in a rush?" "With pleasure," agreed Blair. Annie and Charlie's apartment was cosy, filled with the aroma of baked goods and apples. "This is what I always miss," Blair thought as he settled into an old chair covered with a crocheted seat cover. Patricia would scoff and wrinkle her nose in distaste if she were here. I can't imagine her handling knitting needles or a crochet hook. Our home is stylish and trendy, but it lacks soul and genuine comfort. Strange, but here I can relax. It's cozy. "Help yourselves," Annie said, presenting a cup of fragrant hot tea, a plate of pies and a vase of jam. "We live modestly. It must be strange for you to see our lifestyle." "Thank you," Blair replied, tasting the strawberry jam. He even closed his eyes, savouring its flavour. "I haven't had jam like this since my childhood at my grandmother's house. Annie, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, so nothing surprises me. But I'm here on business." Blair turned serious. "I want to offer you a job as a secretary in our company. I supposed we can offer you higher salary and welfare packager than at your current company. Charlie told me you have a technical degree, correct?" The woman nodded and Blair continued. "Then I'm confident you're the right person for the job." "Oh!" the woman exclaimed. "What if I can't do it? I don't have any experience as a secretary. I don't want to let you down after you've vouched for me." "Don't worry," the man assured her. "You're smart. I'll help you get the hang of things and give you pointers when needed. You're articulate, so you'll handle visitors well. You're fluent in French and German, right?" The woman nodded in agreement. "Great! That's all I need. This is a unique opportunity. I've never used my influence to get someone a job before." "I'm scared a little," Annie confessed. "Your company is prestigious. I've never worked for a company like that." "Everyone has to start somewhere, right?" Blair responded. "It might be intimidating, but you can do it. So, How long do you need to decide? Can I take some time to think it over and then call you? Annie requested. Sure, I'll wait for your call, the man agreed, standing up from the table with a hint of regret. I should get going now. Of course, you must have family waiting at home, Annie acknowledged. Thank you for everything. Goodbye, Charlie, the man said, shaking the boy's hand firmly. I hope your bullies leave you alone from now on, but remember, you can always call me if you need anything. After warmly saying goodbye to the mother and son, Blair left their apartment. 20 minutes later, he parked in front of his house. He unlocked the door, entered the hallway, and took off his shoes, all the while smiling at the memory of the evening spent with Annie and Charlie's family. The smell of baked goods and apples still lingered in his nose. And where have you been? Patricia's disgruntled voice snapped him back to reality. She stood in a thin, see-through negligee, beneath which expensive lace lingerie was visible. What are you smiling about? Why did you come home so late? At work, Blair replied, his good mood evaporating instantly. You're lying. Tell me where you've been. I called, but your phone was off. Would it kill you to let me know you'd be late? You never consider me. What does it matter where I've been? Blair retorted as he walked into the living room, noticing the set table. I'm your wife. I was worried. Really? Blair said calmly, slowly undoing the buttons on his shirt. Do you even know what that feeling is? Are you trying to hurt me? I was genuinely worrying about you. What are we celebrating? Blair asked, gesturing towards the table. I thought I'd do something nice for you for a change. I want to spend the evening with you. You know I can't stay mad at you for long. Oh, really? Blair said mockingly. You don't hold a grudge against me anymore? Yes, I want to reconcile. Why don't you believe me? I prepared dinner. You mean you ordered from a restaurant? The husband clarified. What difference does it make? Why are you mincing words? Yes, I ordered dinner. Put on the best lingerie. Look! She opened her robe, and Blair took in his wife's flawless figure. And you're out somewhere, refusing to explain anything. I wasn't loitering. I was busy with errands. What business could there be after work? Have you checked the time? You're supposed to be home with your wife after work, and you didn't even thank me for the dinner. After a few seconds of silence, Patricia changed her tone abruptly and came up to her husband, attempting to embrace him. Dear, please don't be angry. You know I hate it when you're upset. Come on, honey, smile, hug me. I missed you. Shall we head to the bedroom? I think it was you who stopped talking to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why are you so ungrateful? Patricia exclaimed, pushing him away. I do everything for you, yet you're always dissatisfied. She was on the verge of tears. You don't love me, despite promising to be by my side forever? Patricia, if you wanted to reconcile, you wouldn't be accusing me. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep in the study. Fine, go then, you ingrate. I don't want to see you. Spend your evenings wherever you want, she shouted after him. I gave you the best years of my life, and you do not appreciate me. Blair retreated to his study, escaping her shrill voice. He heard her deliberately moving furniture and clanging dishes before all went quiet. Blair got ready for work earlier than usual then. After a quick snack, he got in his car and headed for the office. He had to introduce Annie to the management. The woman was already waiting for him near the office, her cheeks flushed and her eyes sparkling with sincere joy. I'm so worried. What if your director doesn't like me? You'll be fine, I promise. Blair led her past the security guards and into the director's office. Mr. Hartford, this is Annie. He introduced her to the CEO. I've reviewed your documents, the man said, looking at her. A higher education, fluent in German and French. It's a pity you have no experience as a secretary. I promise, Blair quickly spoke up. I'll bring her up to speed. I assure you, You won't regret hiring such a valuable employee. She will do well." "Well," Mr. Hartford grinned, "since she's your protégée, Blair, you can familiarise her with her duties. I'll set a trial period of 2 weeks. Let's see how you do. Agreed?" "Thank you, Mr. Hartford," Blair responded to his boss. As they left the CEO's office, the man said cheerfully, "There you go. Half the job is done. Now it's just about handling the smaller tasks." "And what if I can't cope?" Annie voiced her doubt. "I would be ashamed to let you down." "Do not worry. The work of a secretary is not difficult. This is your desk," he said, pointing towards it. "Are you comfortable using a computer?" "Sure, I work on it all the time." "Good. Handling documentation, managing the general's daily schedule, and organising meetings. That's your job. Here are the job descriptions. Study them carefully. I believe you'll get the hang of it as you go through these folders full of documents." The phone on the table beeped. Annie looked anxiously at Blair. He calmly pressed the button and looked at her encouragingly. "Annie," Mr. Hartford's voice came through, "I need a cup of coffee and today's schedule." "Oh," Annie was confused. "Where will I find all of this?" "Don't be frightened," Blair reassured her. "Here," he said, opening the door next to the director's office, "is a small kitchen. You'll find coffee and everything you need. The list of meetings is in the planner on your desk. You can look at it while going through the paperwork. I've shown you everything in general terms. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask." "Thank you, Blair," Annie responded warmly. Blair was captivated by her. Dressed modestly, she resembled a model schoolgirl. Her hair was neatly styled, and her discreet makeup enhanced her pretty face. Her large blue eyes were expressive and open. Feeling a sweet ache in his heart, Blair found it difficult to leave her. He swallowed nervously, startled by his own thoughts. "I'll be off. I have work to do," he said. Annie was a valuable employee. Within a week she had mastered her role as a secretary. Blair admired her. "She's so different from Patricia," he thought. "She's interesting, intelligent, well-read. There's no talk of shopping or beauty salons, or complaints about her friends' husbands buying new cars while she has to make do with an old one. Why didn't I see this before? Why didn't I notice that my wife, decked out in expensive clothes, is just an empty-headed doll?" He chuckled to himself. "I guess I had no one to compare her to." Thoughts of Annie began to occupy Blair's mind more frequently. After work, Blair returned home to a chilling silence. His wife didn't even glance in his direction, pretending to be engrossed in her phone. That night, Blair slept in his study again. In the morning, his wife paraded around in a silk robe, showcasing her seductive, tanned, immaculate legs. But the sight of his gorgeous wife didn't stir any feelings in Blair. All week Patricia sulked, waiting for him to make the first move and apologize. He tried to linger at work as long as possible, looking for reasons to see Annie. Some days he was so busy he couldn't meet her, which made him miserable. Blair realized that he wasn't thinking about his wife anymore, but was consumed by thoughts of another woman. "Why are you still here?" Blair asked, noticing the light on in the director's office. The staff have already left, and only Annie was still at her desk, buried in paperwork. Annie looked up and smiled. "I want to finish what I started. There's not much left. I don't like leaving things half done. I've already told Charlie. He's a mature boy and he understands." "May I wait for you? Afterwards we could grab a coffee," Blair suggested. "Why not come to us? Charlie would be delighted," Annie proposed. "I'd be happy to," Blair agreed. Charlie was waiting for his mother. He had set the table and warmed up dinner. Excited, he ran to the hallway to greet Blair. "Hello, buddy. How are you doing? No one's bothering you any more?" the man asked. "No," Charlie answered, shaking his hand. "Good to hear," Blair responded. "Charlie," Annie gently called, "please set another place at the table. Blair," she turned to the man, "would you like to join us for dinner?" "With pleasure," Blair complimented her. I'm lucky to have a son. Annie affectionately stroked his curly head. I don't know how I'd manage without him. Eat, the woman interrupted, or it will get cold. I would like to thank you again, Blair. You have done so much for us. I don't know how I can repay you for your kindness. My mum promised to buy me a laptop, Charlie bragged. Yes, Annie nodded. The salary allows it, and the boy can't do without a computer today. He's doing well in math. Charlie dreams of becoming an IT specialist in the future, so a computer is simply necessary. And ours is very old, only good for simple tasks. Blair looked at Annie and Charlie. He hated to leave this hospitable house, but until the issue with his wife was resolved, he could only dream of Annie. Thank you very much. The man finally rose from the table. I must be going now. Will you come and see us again? Charlie asked. If your mum says it's okay. Blair looked at Annie. I'll come. We'd be glad to, replied the woman quietly. She lowered her head to hide the hope that flashed in her eyes. Annie knew that Blair was married. Later that evening, Blair found his wife at home, still on the same sofa in the living room. Honey! Patricia rushed to her husband, hugged him, and pressed her body against his. I no longer want to quarrel with you. I'm sorry. I know I can be unbearable sometimes, but a woman can be forgiven, can't she? She kissed him. I want you, right now. Patricia playfully began to undo the buttons on his shirt, then laughed. Blair stood silently, not reacting to his wife's actions. Let's go to the table, she said, pulling him by the arm. I ordered something delicious for you. You like seafood, right? I prepared it specially for you. Open a bottle of champagne. I've realized my mistakes. I miss you. She looked at her husband with a melancholic gaze and caressed his hand with her manicured fingers. It's cold sleeping alone. Aren't you punishing me too harshly by refusing to share our bed? I understand you're tired from work. I can give you a massage. She moved her hands around his neck, stroking his shoulders and ruffling his hair. Honey, you seem uninterested, and I'm bored without you, so I got angry. I promise I'll try to control myself. How about going to a nightclub? You'll have a good time. You can't work all the time. We can have a drink and dance. What do you think? The man looked at his wife, and her voice, manner, and behaviour all irritated him. Patricia, we need to talk. Blair moved away from her embrace. Sit down, please, and hear me out. You're so serious, she responded, slightly taken aback. Well, speak. She smiled sweetly. She settled on the couch, adjusted her dress, and crossed her graceful hands on her knees. Patricia, we need to break up. What? The smile slid off her face. Is this some kind of joke? No, I want to divorce you. Oh, you do? She narrowed her eyes, anger sparking in them. And I had a feeling you were staying late at work for a reason, but I refuse to believe that you could leave me. Have you found someone else? I won't deny it, Blair replied, looking at her straight in the eyes. I met another woman and loved her. I don't want to lie. I don't want to hide anything from you. We've become strangers lately, and you feel it yourself. And where did you meet her, I wonder? Office romance. My God, that's vulgar. That's not important. What's important is that I met my son as well. Imagine that. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's precisely what happened. Son? Patricia's eyes widened in surprise. Are you crazy? You never had a son? I didn't, Blair agreed. But now I can say that I have. Where did he come from? What kind of nonsense you're talking? My darling, do you have a fever? She put a cold palm to her forehead. I'm not joking. Sometimes a stranger can become kin instantly. Oh, I get it. You're calling that ragamuffin as your son. Patricia suddenly guessed. Blair, are you crazy? He's a little criminal, and his mother is probably the same. They deceive you, pretend to be unhappy, offended by life. But you shouldn't believe them. They don't want you. They want your money. What can she give you? What is she? A dishwasher? A secretary? Blair, how low you've sunk. Stop insulting them. She may give me care and warmth. Something that has always been missing in our relationship. Tears welled up in Patricia's eyes. Is this how you treat me? She exclaimed. I've stood by your side all these years, and then some stranger comes along and ruins our marriage. Blair, you can't do this to me. It's not fair. We love each other. I understand you want a child, and a grown boy has appeared. I even admit that you're interested in him. But once you've had your fun, then what? Please, don't destroy our relationship. I'm willing to forgive this affair, but stop before you do something you'll regret. We're a family. We don't have a family, and you know it, Blair retorted. I know why you're trying to keep me. You're afraid of losing the comfort you've enjoyed these past years. How could you think that of me? Patricia sobbed. I love you. Weren't we good together? I appreciate everything, Blair said, but I've always wanted children. You don't. I hoped you would understand and we could be parents. But it seems your maternal instinct was lost at birth. Find a man who doesn't want children. I believe you'll find him and be happy. I won't give you a divorce, Patricia said, attempting once more to hold on to her husband. Don't think I'll just hand you over to some hustler. I knew you'd be against it, so I'm offering you a settlement. Will you agree to sign the divorce papers if I pay you this amount? Blair put a piece of paper in front of his wife, with numbers written on it. I think this amount is more than fair for a divorce certificate. If you manage this money wisely, you can live comfortably for a while. So, do you agree? Blair noticed Patricia's hesitation. And where will I live? After all, this house was built before our marriage, she asked. I'll rent you a place to live for a while, but you have your parents' apartment to live in, Blair responded. Okay, said Patricia. I'll give you the divorce, but one thing I don't understand is what makes this woman better than me? And remember, if you ever decide to come back, it won't be easy. I won't be returning. I have other plans for my future, Blair replied. A month later, Blair received the divorce certificate, and he finally could woo Annie. He waited for her after work with flowers. Seeing her, she smiled. Annie, these are for you. He held out the bouquet. I would like to invite you to a cafe. I hope Charlie won't mind if it's just the two of us. We need to talk. Over coffee, Annie admired the bouquet. I haven't received flowers in a long time, she confessed. I'd like to give them to you every day, Blair said seriously. Blair, Annie blushed. You know that's not possible. You're a married man, and I don't want to be the subject of office gossip. Annie, I've divorced my wife. I want to be with you and Charlie. I want to take care of you. Will you let me do that? I confess I've liked you for a long time. I've been enchanted by you from the first moment I met you. I wanted to say these words, but I knew you wouldn't let me while I was married. You're too decent to accept the attentions of a married man. But now nothing else stands in our way. From that evening, Blair and Annie's relationship began to develop rapidly. Blair spent a lot of time with her and Charlie. After 6 months, he decided to propose. One weekend, while they were relaxing in a park, Blair mischievously suggested, Who is brave and ready to ride on the Ferris wheel? Me, I'm ready, Charlie exclaimed with joy. Mum, are you coming? I'm ready to go anywhere with you, Annie laughed. After Blair bought the tickets, they took their seats in the booth. How beautiful, Charlie said enthusiastically. pressing his nose against the glass. "Now I know how birds see the city." "Annie," Blair began, looking at her intently, "I've been looking for the right moment to tell you this." He took a velvet box out of his pocket and opened it. "Charlie, would you mind if I proposed to your mother?"
"No, I'd be delighted. Mum, please say yes."
"Annie, will you marry me?" Blair asked nervously, waiting for an answer.
"Blair,"
Annie answered, embarrassed.
"this is all so sudden."
She hesitated.
"Mum, say yes."
"Annie, do you agree?" Blair reiterated.
"I agree."
The woman smiled.
Blair laughed.
Charlie clapped his hands while Annie slid a ring onto her finger.
"Well, what are you waiting for?"
Charlie urged them.
"Kiss already. If you're shy, I can look away."
Blair and Annie laughed happily. The man lightly kissed his beloved. Then he hugged her. She leaned against him trustingly, looking into his eyes. In them, Blair saw the words, "I love you," and he answered her with a look that said, "And I love you."